Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And today what I would like to do is show you how to make a little golden book cover for a junk journal where you save this iconic gold foil spine. I have seen a lot of little golden book junk journals and they're adorable. But to me, if it doesn't have this foil on the spine, it's not really a little golden book. So it's just a little book, a really super cute little book. But I just wanted to figure out a way to save that foil on the spine. And I tried a few different methods and I had a few failures, but I think I finally figured out how to do it to where it works. So let's go ahead and get started. Now this one I'm making for me. This is a little Charmin Chatty little golden book, and I don't know if you remember Charmin Chatty, but I had her when I was a little girl. It's a doll. She was about maybe 18 inches tall. Can't remember exactly. Everybody had Chatty Cathy, but my name is Kathy, and my parents didn't want to get me Chatty Cathy for obvious reasons. And so I got Charmin Chatty, and she had records that inserted in her side, and you could get a whole bunch of different records, and they had different themes like party or playing with friends, or I can't remember all of them, but anyway, you put the record in her side, and then when you pull on the string, the sayings that she has correspond with whatever theme the record is. So she was just a lot of fun. I loved her. I don't know whatever happened to her, but I did run across a Charmin Chatty doll in an antique store a while back, and I almost bought her, but anyway, I didn't. So when I ran across this book, I just thought I have to have it. So I'm going to turn this into a little golden book junk journal just for me. And what I'm going to do is we're going to separate the cover, and to do that we're going to find the center of the signatures. And we want to get it right in the center. They have two signatures. I'm going to hold, here, let me turn on the other light here. Okay, so if you can start to separate it, maybe you can see it right there where the signatures are sort of pulling apart. And that's what we want to do. So we want to pull it apart gently so we don't destroy the spine. So I'm using this big long screwdriver that my husband gave me, and I'm just sort of inserting it in here between them, and I'm giving it a twist like this. And I'm just going down and just gently, gently, gently separating it, because these books are held together by staples, and there are two staples, one about here and one about there. Okay, so just gently. Sometimes this takes a minute to do. You just want to gradually work your way down the book, and eventually the staples will start to lift up. Just twist and lift and twist and lift, because you don't want to ruin it. You just want to separate it so that you can pull the staples all the way through. There we go. See, there's these staples right here. I'm going to do the same thing down there. Good. Okay. So now I can pull this out, and I can pull this out. You can straighten out the staples a little bit so to get them so that they come out easier. We're going to set the signatures aside. And this one looks like it was glued, or has a little page on the back where it was torn, but that's okay because it's still the end of the book. Okay, so just being real gentle, pulling them out. And let's get this out of here because it's totally unnecessary. Okay. All right, so now I can take those staples out, but I don't really want to, because I don't want to do anything to ruin the spine there. So I'm just going to push those back down. Just lay them down there flat. I'm going to set the signatures aside, and you can see that the foil here is still intact, and that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slice right down the center with my X-Acto knife, which I already got out, but I forgot. And I'm just going to go right down the center. Very good. Now there is enough of this left over that I'm just going to fold it over that raw edge and glue it down. And I'm just going to use some art glitter glue for that. I'll put on my pin holder because I'm always losing my pin. And then it falls off the table and somehow disintegrates before it hits the floor. In fact, everything that falls off of my table disintegrates before it hits the floor. Oops. Okay, so just a little bead of glue. Now, if you have a little golden book where the that foil is kind of worn on the edge, like, you know, if it's really old, you can just color the edge with like a metallic gold marker or something like that, which I've done also. Okay, so I'm just gonna gently fold this over. Until it sticks. Like so. Okay, and then obviously the same thing on the other side. Okay, we got step 1 and step 2. That's great. All right, now on this one you can see where the corner is a bit damaged. So that's the next step, is we want to do any kind of corner repair that we might need to do. And the way you do that is you just, I don't know if you can see this, you just separate this as much as you can, and then just literally just, you know, put a bunch of glue in there. Whoops. Yeah, this is what happens when you have a pin in there that doesn't have a colored head on it. You forget it's in there. Okay, so we're just gonna put a bunch of glue. And then squeeze it together. And then I'm just gonna let that dry for a little bit. And that's the only one that really seems to need it. I'm also going to put corner protectors on there. Then there's a little spot right here that's a little bit worn, and I'm just going to put some glue on there just to keep it from... And then Kathy forgets to put the pin out. Okay, just to make sure it doesn't, you know, go anywhere. Then if the cover has, you know, some scuff marks and stuff like that in it, and you want to seal it further, you can seal it with some Mod Podge gloss, and then that will give it a nice finish. I mean, it's glossy. I wouldn't want to use Mod Podge matte. I did that on one that I was experimenting with, and I really didn't like the effect of it. So I did another one with gloss, and it worked really well. In fact, that's what I did with this one. I just sealed it with some Mod Podge gloss. Okay, so let's set this aside because now we need to make the spine. And to make the spine, you need a couple of things. First of all, you need to decide, or figure out how tall your book is. I have found that some of them are 8 inches and some of them are 7 7/8 inches. And so it's really good to check before you do anything else, like cut your spine or anything like that. And when I measured this one, it turns out that it's 7 and just right around 7/8 inch. And I think the older ones are like that. So it's just under 8 inches. So you're going to cut your spine pieces. Just make sure that they're the same height as your book. I was trying to do several. I was trying to be efficient, so I was trying to do more than one at a time. So I cut a bunch at 8 inches, not thinking about it too much, thinking that they were all the same height, and they're not. Okay, so figure out how wide of a spine you want. This one is 1.5 inches, and this is kind of a heavier cardboard. It's the backing of a pad of lined paper, but it's still pretty flimsy. So I'm going to put 2 of these together. And then you also need another piece of thinner cardboard that is 3 inches wider than your spine. And I'll show you why in a minute. So these are 1.5 inches, and so this is 4.5 inches. Okay. So I'm going to put these together, and I'm just going to use double back tape for this. You know what? This is removable double back tape. I bought strong double back tape at Michael's the other day, but do you think I can find it? No, I can't. I don't know where it is. It must be one of those things that fell off of my table and disintegrated before it hit the floor. Okay, so, and then I'm just going to add some art glitter glue at the top and the bottom where I didn't get tape. So I'm just going to make this basically double thickness for the spine. Make sure it's even up and down as much as possible. And then I also am going to adhere this right in the center of this piece here. But before I do that, I'm going to score it 1.5 inches from either end. So let me grab my scoreboard. So this is from a package of bags, like plastic bags. So, you know, it can be anything. On one of them, I think I used a Kleenex box. I'm going to score it pretty well. Kind of train it a little bit. This one just happens to be like right on this edge right here where the 2 pieces are joined together, but that's okay. Okay, now we're going to use some sport tape. This is just regular first aid sport tape. It's made out of breathable fabric, and I just got it at Rite Aid. It's 1.5 inches wide, and I'm going to just kind of reinforce these folds, these creases. And I'm also going to reinforce this side as well. And then that way the cardboard, you know, there's no chance that the cardboard is going to come apart or anything like that. This is nice and flexible, but it will hold it. Alright, so I'm going to put this spine piece on the outside here, and I'm just going to use some double back tape for that as well. Okay, so since this is repositionable double back tape instead of the really super strong stuff I had, I'm not happy with the way that's stuck, so I'm just going to put glue all over it. Okay, so we'll let that dry, and while that is drying, I'm going to take the cover and I'm going to put some of the sport tape across this hinge as well, because we want it to stay intact and we want it to be strong. Okay, see, this is going to form the hinge for the cover. Okay, now we need a piece of fabric that is wider than the width of this and 17 inches in this direction. And whatever color fabric you want that matches your cover. And I did this. I pieced these pieces together because I didn't have enough of this one, but I did have these two. So I just thought, you know, the green back one looks good on the inside, and then the blue looks good on the outside. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover this, and we're going to use Fabric Fusion for that. And what Fabric Fusion is this permanent fabric tape, and it works really well. And where I'm not able to put the fabric tape, then I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. And I knew I should have bought more. This is a really strong double back tape that works very well with fabric. I'm going to do this side first. And you just peel off the backing. You can see I'm going to have to order some more of this. This is Aleene's Fabric Fusion. I got it at Joann Fabrics, but I think I'm going to try to order it online. Peel off the backing. Sometimes it's hard to separate the backing from the tape, but you get it eventually. And I'm doing this before I put the Fabri-Tac on because I don't want to give the Fabri-Tac a chance to dry. So by sewing these together, I just used like a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and if you're going to do that, make sure that you iron the seams open so that it reduces the amount of bulk. So I'm just putting some Fabri-Tac in where I couldn't add tape. I'm also trying to conserve tape because I'll use it on the other side as well. Should have grabbed my other bottle of Fabri-Tac that's not in the this little Sugar Bell container because it's got a bigger opening, which would have worked better for this process. It would have been faster. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to lay this on here so that it's centered, and there's going to be a little bit of overlap on the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. Make sure that it adheres really well. And then you want to try to, you know, do a little bit of working to give that hinge some flexibility there. Now, I'm just going to clip this in place for a minute, just on the top and on the bottom, just so I can see where my cover needs to be. And what we're going to do is attach the cover here, like so. And we're going to use a combination of Fabri-Tac and Fabric Fusion, the double back tape. We want to get it so that it's aligned properly, and also we can close it. Okay, so I'm going to put some Fabric Fusion on this. That's why I use sports tape and not duct tape, because this is fabric. And I have found that trying to use duct tape for this application doesn't work at all. Oh no, oh, I knew it was gonna run out. Oh dear. Okay, well, Fabri-Tac to the rescue on the other side. On the other cover. That's disappointing. This stuff is really good. So I grabbed my other bottle of Fabri-Tac while I was at it. This is kind of tricky. Okay. Excellent. So we want to do the same thing on the other cover. And I am going to have to just rely on Fabri-Tac for this one. I really like that tape because it just adheres really well. But we'll just do the best we can with what we have. And I know what I'll be ordering or getting the next time we go to Jo-Ann Fabrics. If I can order it on Amazon, I will leave a link below, because this is great stuff. Okay, again, we want to line it up. And we just want to make sure it adheres. We're going to do another step on this too, and it's totally optional, but I kind of like the idea of it, just to give it a little extra security. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry for a little while. I'm going to turn off the camera while it dries, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back, and this has had enough time to dry. And while it was drying, I went and put dinner in the Instant Pot. Tonight we're having wild rice and chickpea soup. So it'll be done in about 50 minutes or so. And now at this point, if you have a little book ring, this is a good time to add it to your spine. And these are from Tim Holtz, Ranger, whatever. And it's just a brad. You just punch a little hole in, you know, and stick it through the hole. So that's what we're going to do right now. And I'm going to do it, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and mark where I want it. Maybe, you know, about ½ inch or so from the top of the cover. And I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile Big Bite to punch the hole, and I'm going to have it on the 1/8, so a small hole. Make sure I get it right on that mark. Okay. I'm going to use that again, so I'm not going to put it all the way away. Alright, so this is a nice little gizmo to have, because this is what you can use to hang like a tassel or some book jewelry or something like that from. Okay. And then I'm going to use some more of this sport tape just to cover that up. There we go. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to put some eyelets in here. Then we can, you know, put some, I don't know, some, gold thread or whatever through it. But putting eyelets in here will really give an extra little bit of security, just to make sure that the cover doesn't pull away. So let's see, I'm going to try to figure out where I want them. And since the staples are still in here, we don't want to put them obviously right where the staples are. And I don't know if you can see, but there's one right here and one right here. So I'll put the eyelet just maybe like an inch down from the from either end, and then one right in the center. And I might as well just go ahead and use the backing on here. So I'm going to use a 3/16 eyelet. So I'm going to set it to the 3/16 hole, and when you use this, here's where the 3/16 hole gauge is. So if I wanted an inch back for that, I put my backstop right there. Okay, can you see that right at the inch mark? And I'm going to just line this up, and hopefully I'll get it right in the center. I'm just going to butt it up against the backstop there. And do the same thing on the other side, on the other cover. Reset that just to make sure it's in the right spot. Okay, and then I want one in the center as well. And it's so close to 8 inches, I'm just going to put it at the 4-inch mark. And again, I'm just going to use my backstop to line it up at the 4-inch mark. Oh, how did that happen? Okay, so my gauge must have moved. So these are not quite lined up, but that's okay. This was just for me, so I don't really mind. But you know, make sure you pay attention to that. And now I'm going to put my eyelets in. So I'm going to use these gold eyelets. And the reason I'm doing this before I wrap the rest of the fabric, well, that's not gold. It actually is kind of pretty. And they're not exactly straight either. Not exactly in the middle. But that's the way it goes. And again, this is an extra step that's not really all that necessary, but I wanted to give it a try. Oh, what I was going to say is that I'm putting the eyelets in before the fabric gets put in all the way, so that the back part of the eyelet will be not showing. Oh, that didn't work at all. Okay, so I took the awl and kind of, squeeze the rest of it through, and the second one worked really well. So now let's do the third one, and that one worked really well too. That one had a little trouble. So I'm going to give it my all. Alright, really bad pun, sorry. Alright, so that's not half bad. Again, these are a little out of alignment. This one is a little goofy, but I'm okay with it. This one needs to go in a little bit, and there we go. Okay, now the next step is to wrap the fabric around. Now normally I would put this side, you know, this little flap on the bottom, but I didn't. I put it on backwards. So that's okay. Now one thing you can do too is you can sew a zigzag stitch along here to keep it from fraying. Okay, so I just sewed a little zigzag stitch along that edge. That'll keep it from fraying. And I'm going to wrap this around now and glue it down. And this is, again, where I would use the that Fabric Fusion, but I'm all out. Sad. We want it to be even as much as possible. Okay, it's good to let this dry flat before we start moving it, you know, manipulating the cover. So while it's doing that, I want to add some finishing touches here to the inside. So I'm going to put some eyelet and some rickrack. So in spite of those little mishaps, I'm really liking the way this is turning out. So one nice thing, I don't know how many of you out there have Instant Pots, but one nice thing that I love about it is that, you know, once everything is in the Instant Pot, I can just walk away and do whatever I want. Like this, for example. And there's no watching or monitoring it or anything like that. It's perfectly good all by itself, doesn't need any babysitting. And then the blue rickrack. Cute. And then here I have gold rickrack, because it is, after all, a little golden book. I'm so excited. I went to Joann the other day and got that Fabric Fusion, and I thought maybe I'll pick up some extra rickrack while I'm there. And it was buy one, get two free. I was like, what? That is a pretty good deal. My husband and I both have the app on our phone, so we double up on coupons all the time. We just go through the line separately. And it's not cheating. He has his absolute own app, and he's entitled, just like me. Okay, so I turned the camera off while I was kind of debating on how I wanted to finish this off. I had put some string in through here, some gold string, and I didn't really like the way that looked. So I looked around my craft room and discovered that at some point these glass seed beads somehow materialized in one of my drawers, along with this 28 gauge gold wire. So that kind of gave me an idea. And what I ended up doing, I'm going to hold this up so you can see it better, is I strung these beads onto the spine. And I seated a gold bead right inside each one of these eyelets to kind of give it, well, to kind of take up that space. And I did this on both sides, both the front and the back covers. And I really, really, really like the way that looks. The colors, I think, look really good with the colors in the spine, in the foil rather. And I'm just so happy I was able to retain that foil. So that's what that one looks like. Now this one doesn't have the beads on it, and I think it looks good as well. And it's perfectly sturdy, and there's plenty of strength there to hold it on. This is a little bit wider spine. So anyway, I'm going to call this done. I'm so happy to have found this little book, because Charm and Chatty was such a was such a fun childhood friend, and I wish I still had her, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not picking up that one at the antique store, but at least now I have the book. So I'm looking forward to filling this, and I hope you had fun. I'm going to call it done for now. And if you got some new ideas on how to alter and transform a little golden book so that you retain this gold foil, then that makes me really happy. Now, I will say that I did try to find some eyelets where the shank was a little bit longer than these, and I have not really been very successful, but these worked, so I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. I hope you had fun, and if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new content. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Happy crafting, and as always, let the serendipity find you. Bye-bye.